So what I'm gonna do is kind of like model what I would do for scholars. So what I would do, I want you to pay attention to like how I think aloud. I want you to also how I think aloud and prepping them for a thinking job for while I'm modeling. So let me roll back. So think about how I'm prepping them for a thinking job, how I'm thinking aloud when I'm looking for an answer, and like how I hold them accountable for like understanding my model of thinking. You won't always have to like debrief a model, but like but when you're like doing either a question type or when you're like first rolling it out, you do need to like debrief your model similarly to how you do it now, so that you know that you understood the steps that you did.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll start. So scholars, today we are going to be reading Pig on 35th Street. And what we're going to do today is we're going to be focusing on how to cite text evidence and use our schema to infer how a character is feeling, because we've been talking a lot about character feelings. So I'm going to tell you the question that I'm going to be showing you how to answer and showing you how to cite text evidence for and how to use your schema. The question I'm going to ask is, how does Dad feel when he sees a pig in the city? Again, the question is, how does Dad feel when he sees a pig in the city? So scholars, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to think about the question that I'm being asked. I am being asked about how Dad feels when he sees a pig in the city. I know that when I'm asked about how a character feels, I need to pay attention to the words a character says and their actions to determine feelings, because always it doesn't just say that they feel happy or sad. So I'm going to open my book and I'm going to find the page where it talks about Dad seeing a pig in the city. So I see on page 1, there's a pig running through the city, and I read here that the pig is running through the city. And I see that Riley is picking the pig up, but they haven't talked about Dad yet. So I'm going to go to page 2. On page 2, I do see in a picture that it looks like Riley has brought a pig to a man who's probably her dad. So I know that my evidence is probably going to be on page 2. So I'm going to read, and again, I'm going to pay attention to the words to make sure that I can pay attention to the words and think about my personal experience to see how Dad feels. The pig followed Riley all the way home. Oh my goodness, Riley's dad cried. When Riley opened the door, it's a pig. The pig ran all over their apartment. Finally, we went into the kitchen. Riley's mom gave it a bowl of milk. So I saw that they were talking about how Riley's dad felt and what Riley's dad did. So I'm going to look, and I see this quote. It says, "Oh my goodness." I know that when someone says, "Oh my goodness," they probably feel shocked or surprised. Because I remember that one time when I went home and my mom brought me a new puppy, I said, "Oh my goodness," because I was surprised. So I'm going to say that Riley's dad feels surprised. And my evidence is on page 2, where it says he said, "Oh my goodness," where Riley's dad said, "Oh my goodness," and it says that he cried, "Oh my goodness." So scholars, when you notice me reading this page, what things did you notice that I was doing?
First, you thought about the question. Then you looked through the text, and you knew about Riley's dad. What did you think when she brought the pig home? So you searched until you found the part where Riley brought the pig home. Then you read that page, and in there you saw a quote that Riley said, "Oh my goodness," and he cried that out. And then you thought about a time using your schema of when you or someone else said, "Oh my goodness," and you were surprised. So did you also feel that Riley's dad was surprised?
Yes, so I did all of those things. I found the right part of the book to cite my best evidence. I thought about a quote that I had seen that actually talked about the question that I had been asked. And I also made sure that I could further explain my answer by using my schema and what it said in the text. So scholars today, that is what you're gonna do when you are asked more questions about how a character feels. You're gonna find the right evidence. You're gonna look for quotes in the story or words that explain how a character feels. You're gonna think about what you already know in your schema, and then you're gonna come up with the very best answer that you can. So, how did that feel, or like, what did you notice about that model, and like, how could that like impact scholars?
You clearly gave them a process to walk through. You figured out that they can easily manage, and it can be used not only in factual but also in critical thinking and inferential. Once they find the part of the book, read it, they can use some of their schema. Some of them have different schema. They can use a schema then to determine the answer.
Yeah,
So-
and they're definitely using the
And
C
it's
and the
repeatable,
N.
you know, it's something that can,
Yeah, and they're definitely using like the C and the P in race, like they're citing it and they're explaining it, which are the toughest parts for race for them to like catch on to.
My kids for the most part do really good with art, like even when I asked them a step, how did Riley's dad feel? Riley's dad felt,
Yeah,
they really do a good job of that, so whoever was teaching first grade last year did a really good job of.
yeah,
Yeah,
like they're pretty good at restating questions. What they're struggling with is, and why they're not achieving step is because they can't cite correct evidence
Yeah.
or explain it, for a lot of question types, because sometimes they're missing factual, a lot of times they're missing critical and inferential, which I think we'll spend more time on during the unit, but I think like a starting point is to definitely get them started with thinking about like factual type questions as well. So what I wanna do for the rest of our time today is I want you, as I asked you to bring, a book. And I think we have like, what time is,
1:20 is when they need to be,
okay. Can't remember the time.
here, this is not homework though. This is the one I was using today.
Okay, yeah, I saw it when I
Yeah.
came in today. So what I want you to think about is, we can think about one of the questions you had today. You may wanna think about an easier question that you had today. And I want us to think about what will be, I think today if we get through, thinking about what that question is and the ideal response. And then we can think about how you would try to model that. So which is a question that was maybe like a little bit easier, less challenging, than the one that we saw that maybe you could.
Why do you say that English is a lonely language? So, just cause today I'm gonna walk you through, or how do I?
So, there was a question that said, why?
Why does she feel that English is a lonely language?
And so what answer would you ideally want to see? Because you always.
So that's right, you
correct
got
first.
it, yeah, okay. So, what I ideally be looking for is that she feels it's lonely because each letter stands alone, each letter makes its own noise, which is different than Chinese. So to her, it's lonely because everything is so isolated and by itself.
Yeah, so it's a lonely language because like, yeah, it's isolated and letters stand alone. It doesn't seem to flow together like Chinese, which is her native language. So you'll be looking for scholars to say the letters, stand alone, they don't come together maybe like Chinese. And they don't make sense to her like Chinese letters would say. So that's the answer that you're ideally looking for, in this. And I think this is still like more of this still inferential, which is
Okay,
fine.
alright.
Because they have to interpret what lonely means, and I think that's fine though. I think
Okay.
like starting off, it's still like still a little bit easier than the one that they had today.
Okay.
Because that one was like, the one I saw was, that was tough. Which is good, like we want them to still do tough, but I think, like this is a good inferential type question that I think they can use some text evidence. So if you're
And there's
thinking
even
about.
some over here, you know, how she talks about fast stroke, you know, that it's like stroke, so it kinda goes together, you know, I don't know if that. Like to see the
Oh, so you
fly
can find
in
her
there.
hand, but that was,
Whereas like the letters are
Yeah.
each,
yeah, so you can like
I guess
say
this
like,
is pretty,
these are things that you would want to like them to think about as they're
Okay.
like thinking about their text evidence.
okay,
So we've identified the question, we thought about their ideal response, that it doesn't seem to flow together like Chinese, and it's not as easy for her to write or speak. Basically, that would be like an answer that would be acceptable.
okay.
So now, I want you to think about how you would model thinking through a question like that. Again, thinking about what I did, like thinking about what's in the text in their own schema.
Okay.
And you can take about 2 minutes to, like, think about that.
So I give them a thinking job,
Mhm.
I think aloud, and then I, check them, check for understanding at the end, right?
Mhm.
So their thinking job would be to, just follow along with me, or
So
how
what
would I
they-
describe that, I'm
So
sorry.
the thinking, it's okay, so what I said, like, your thinking job was to pay attention to how I use the words in the text in my
Okay.
schema. So they're always paying attention to, basically whenever they're making an inference, they're paying attention to the words in the text and what they already know.
Schema, okay.
Their schema.
Okay. So scholars, today I'm gonna walk you through answering the question, why does Mimi feel that English is a lonely language? Your job is to follow the language in the book and use your schema. And who remember what schema is? That's right, I mean, that's what we all already know. That's right. So I'm gonna start at the beginning. At the first page, I don't see anything about English being lonely. I remember she talked about English being a lonely language. That's about moving to Chinatown, people speaking Chinese. Oh, here in class, it says, in New York, in school, everything happened in English. Such a lonely language. Each letter stands alone and makes its own noise, not like Chinese. I keep going. I see that she's talking about a trip and spelling that out. Ooh, on the next page, it says, made me love Chinese, especially writing. Fast strokes, short strokes, long strokes, the brush, the pen, the pencil, all seem to fly in her hand. But that was Chinese. I see that the author used the word but, so that means there should be something of the opposite of that. So if it was good, easy in Chinese, it's probably not as easy in English.
And so I would even pull out right here, like, if you wanna point out that it's
Yeah.
easy, I would say like, I see that it says that, she loved Chinese, and I also see that
It seemed to fly.
all
in
seem
her-
to fly in her hands, like that is more
Okay,
like.
the sticky
evidence that-
language, of it.
Yeah,
Okay, so it seemed to fly in her hands. But that was Chinese, so if that was Chinese, the other language she's learning is English, so that would mean in English, she doesn't love it, and it doesn't fly in her hand. Let me go back to this previous part, it says that the letters stand alone. Now, I know when I've been alone, I feel alone, I feel lonely. It's just they stand alone, they make their own noise, not like Chinese. So I'm thinking she says that English is a lonely language because it doesn't come easy to her, and because the letters make their own noise. They're all by themselves, which is not like Chinese, what she's used to.
and so I would like even make that like even more like concrete, so I would say like, since it's lonely and she's alone, and it's not easy, that must mean that she thinks it's a lonely language because it's hard, and not
Okay.
like what she's been doing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so like, thinking about, and we can cut right there, cause I know like you have to go, but I think like things that you did that were effective is you went back through the text and you looked like from the beginning and you found the right page where she started talking about like, I remember them saying it was a lonely language on this page. So you found the page and you read and you thought through what was lonely language, and then like I prompted you to like find out.
And I think
the
this would
more
all be
concrete
2 pages,
words.
but probably only be my hot, which was, I guess, at level 8.
Well, this is a
Yeah,
higher
Yeah,
level,
so
yeah.
that's what I'm saying, so I guess, that,
Uh,
yeah.
But, like, I mean, I think like they can
Yeah, I
look
think they
across
can,
2
yeah.
pages, even at step 7.
Mhm.
And you like put that information together. What I would push you on is making sure that when you script, and I know we didn't have a long time to like script out an ideal response, but like that ideal response is very concrete.
So I have, there's no, this is exactly what I'm
Yeah.
looking for, so that's what I want
Yeah,
to teach
and
explicitly,
that's
so
what you
they
wanna
get that
teach.
answer, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's what you wanna model and teach explicitly when you're doing it.
okay.
Yeah, so, that's what I wanna focus with you on over probably the next, cause next week you'll have evaluation.
Evaluation, okay.
But the next couple of weeks, because I think this is something that is gonna take a while to master as an action step. And also something that scholars need to work towards, like really,
And it'll give me time to think,
Strategic.
start with factual.
yeah,
And
and it'll
once
give
I
you
kind
time
of
to
have
like
to build up on
scaffold
that.
it, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But what I would like to do is make sure that every